Greetings to all of you, and thank you for who you are and for how you each in your own ways are holding the energies of this higher consciousness that we are all moving into as we move into the age of Aquarius, into a new precessional cycle, and move through this time of transition and transformation into an evolutionary leap as humanity. We're being called to move into the fifth dimension, that level of consciousness that is about living from the heart, holding that energy of unconditional love and compassion, honoring our interconnectedness, remembering that we are a part of the oneness of all that is. As we can hold space for that together, we support the planet in moving into that new state of being. As I interact with you, as I get your comments, as I do readings with many of you from around the globe, it fills me with hope and that awareness that we are each, in our own ways, working to support the change that we're in, individually and collectively in this time. It's a time of turmoil, it's a time of transition, it's a time of transformation. And we're seeing not only the awakening into these new paradigms and new levels of consciousness, but we're seeing the backlash to that and the tumult of many who are caught in confusion, caught in fear, caught in their own pain from the past and unable to fully access these new energies that we're being called into. It's part of why in many of my videos I talk about how crucial it is that we be in this process of healing. I truly believe not only in what I'm seeing astrologically with the transits, but what I'm seeing in interaction with what's going on in the collective and interaction with individual people, that this is a time where whatever is unresolved for us in terms of our own trauma, individually and collectively, it's up at the surface right now. Because unless we can heal those unresolved wounds, we can't fully shift into that higher consciousness. It isn't possible to do the spiritual bypass, where you just disconnect from the pain of the past and move into elevated consciousness. That creates an unintegrated, fragmented state of being. We are all being called to heal in order to fully move through this transformational process into new ways of being. The shamans talk about it as moving into becoming the luminous humans, beings of light and love. We have the chance, the opportunity of supporting this transition into the golden age, into that state of full consciousness, where we remember the essence of who we are, remember the truth of who we are, and open in that expansive way to reconnect with other galactic beings, to reconnect with the cosmos, and to come back into harmony with life on Earth, and come back into harmony with the music of the spheres. I want to share a little bit more today about my experience, not only as an astrologer, but also as a clinical psychologist. I have practiced as a clinical psychologist for over 30 years, specializing in working with those with trauma. What I've seen over and over again is that when we don't heal and address those wounds from the past, then they block us. They bind us. Those unresolved traumas control us, often unconsciously, such that we are drawn to ways in which we're repeating those patterns in an unconscious effort to change it, to heal it, to come back into right balance. But instead, we often end up getting re-traumatized over and over again. It's time to heal. And I do believe that the veils between the worlds are thinner right now. And whatever is unresolved for us, individually or collectively, is right on the surface to support us in being more conscious of what we need to address, of what we need to face, what we need to heal in order to move into this new higher consciousness in a full and integrated way. You might think of it as to move into this new way of being, we have to clear and heal what is out of balance in our chakras. If you think about the fifth dimension as living from more full consciousness from the heart, we can't fully move into that way of being without dealing with our root chakra issues, being grounded and connected to the earth. Second chakra issues, where we often hold that trauma, stress, the wounds from the past, our fear, our unresolved emotions. We need to address that and face that in order to then be in balance at the level of the third chakra, which is the expression of our selves, our creativity, our individuality, in order then to move into the heart from a place of clarity and compassion and ability to open to that unconditional love of the cosmos. We have a lot of support right now. We have support astrologically as the stars and planets are guiding us through that process. We have support from Mother Earth, who's in her own process of healing and transition. We have support from the cosmos, from that love and wisdom that runs through all that is. One of the things that I find profound in astrology, both as a psychologist and an astrologer, is how the chart, our birth chart, speaks to the aspects of our personality, those themes that we've come in to work on in this lifetime. I am very influenced and honoring of that deeper layer of the chart that's described as evolutionary astrology, where you can glimpse what was your soul's intentions in this lifetime. What is the blueprint for your soul's purpose that is about your next step of evolution and growth, as your soul self is guiding you through your own process of healing and evolution. And within the chart, we can see those configurations that often indicate what is the trauma that we're needing to work through, what are the themes that we're needing to address, to heal, to grow, to evolve in this lifetime. It's extraordinary to me also that we can see in the birth chart what are the themes from past life traumas that we've also come in to clear and heal in this lifetime. When I was practicing as a clinical psychologist, before I studied and moved into a deeper understanding of astrology, it was amazing to me to realize how certain patterns, certain issues could not get resolved, could not be brought into full consciousness until we made those connections to what are the past life traumas that we've come in to heal and clear in this lifetime. And my sense as an astrologer is we will come into this lifetime reenacting some version of that pattern or that trauma in this incarnation in order to bring it into our awareness. Not in order to be re-traumatized, but in order to bring it into consciousness, to face it and heal it. It is as if the chart is our soul's map, guiding us through the intentions that we came into this lifetime with, but then forget when we're born and come fully into this incarnation. We forget those intentions. But the chart is the map, the guide, the reminder. Not only showing us what is it we're needing to heal and clear, but how do we do that? And how do we each in our own way move into that process of healing and integration to come back into full alignment with our soul selves? The chart is also extraordinary in that it can indicate when we're also here to heal or clear ancestral trauma that's been passed down generation after generation, either because of some trauma pattern in the family lineage or the cultural lineage. But the key here is that we need to heal, to get to the root of what those issues are that are unresolved for us, to face those shadow aspects of ourselves, to reclaim those parts of us that have been split off or dissociated or repressed because the pain was too great. So we're really being challenged in this time to heal not only those individual wounds that we each carry, but to heal collectively. I do believe that a lot of the turmoil, violence, destructiveness, competition, separation, polarization, hatred, and hostility in the world right now are because of our trauma individually and collectively. When we don't deal with those issues consciously, we tend to act them out on ourselves or others, or project those unresolved issues onto other people in an effort to protect ourselves. We're operating out of fear, out of trauma, and not out of clarity or compassion or sense of connection or right relationship. I want all of you to know that on April 29th, I am a part of an official book launch for the book From Trauma to Freedom, One Woman's Journey and a Holistic Guide to Healing. This book was co-authored by Kristina Lea and me to try to provide some guidance about how we can each heal in this time. Kristina Lea herself has journeyed through some of the most intense trauma that I've ever heard about, even though my specialty was doing trauma work. And I have, as a psychologist, worked in inpatient psychiatric hospitals, worked with psychotic homeless people in Los Angeles, worked with multiple outpatient clinics dealing with underserved populations, worked in private practice, worked in multiple settings, and have seen the full spectrum of trauma and psychopathology. My doctoral dissertation was on religious delusions among schizophrenics. and looking at what is that dynamic that differentiates a psychotic person from a mystic. Because what I experienced when I sat with schizophrenics or people in acute psychosis with bipolar disorder, when I was working in the inner city psychiatric hospital in Los Angeles, what I realized is, however delusional the person's experience seemed to be, if I sat and listened, what was coming through cryptically, archetypally, emotionally, was the only way they knew how to describe the pain and trauma that was so overwhelming to them. They had to disconnect from this reality. And I came to realize, in truly sitting and listening and being with them, how extraordinarily sensitive so many of them were. That their 6th and 7th chakras were wide open, and they were perceiving what was going on around them emotionally and energetically with such heightened sensitivity, but without a sense of how to heal what was so overwhelmingly painful in their lives, and how to ground and how to come back into integration. The mystic is able to open in that expansive way and integrate it and ground it because they are able to bridge this reality with those other realms, and because they are intact enough and not dealing with overwhelming trauma that they're able to stay integrated and stay in that sense of wholeness. So to open in that expansive way, to move into these higher states of consciousness, we have to heal what is unresolved in our lives. And as a world, as a global community, we need to face the traumas that we've experienced across cultures, the traumas that we've done to each other because of our religious differences, our racial differences, gender differences, sexual identity differences, whatever it is. Those differences have become a way in which we target each other and project our rage, our fear, our unresolved traumas onto each other, and then keep that trauma pattern going. It's time for that to stop. Thich Nhat Hanh, the amazing Vietnamese monk who went through the trauma of the Vietnam War, says you cannot have peace in the world if you don't have peace in your own heart. Whatever activism we do, however much we strive for social justice, for environmental reform, for whatever level of healing we're trying to activate on the planet, if we are not at peace in our own hearts, have not come into that place of healing and integration within ourselves, we will stay caught in polarization with each other, in conflict, in a pattern that is re-triggering to our own trauma or reenacting that trauma on others. In this book, From Trauma to Freedom, Kristina and I talk about a holistic guide for healing. Kristina outlines her own journey and what brought her from severe trauma throughout her childhood into the place of integration, of consciousness, of wholeness, of being a being of light and love in the world in this time. And I share in that book everything I've learned from my own healing journey and my own journey in trying to support others in healing. And what I want to share is that part of what we use in that book to support the holistic guide to healing is that shamanic understanding of the medicine wheel. In my own shamanic training, that has been one of the most profound teachings that I've integrated from Native American teachers, from Peruvian shamans. That sense that, and shamanism is at the root of every mystical tradition on the planet. And the medicine wheel is that understanding that we work with all the aspects of the wheel, all of the energies of life, all of the energies within ourselves. As we face those, integrate those, we can then come to the center of the medicine wheel, come to that place of wholeness, alignment with the earth and sky, the spirit within us, and the spirit in all of life. So we've used that template to talk through what are the core aspects, the core themes that we work in our journeys of healing. And it starts with alignment, the importance of being aware of our stories, our journeys, our wounds, our strengths, and to hold that awareness that that personality that we carry in this incarnation is a manifestation of the soul self within us that is never traumatized, never wounded, always whole, always eternal. That soul self is the essence of us, the spiritual essence of us that is infinite, that is a part of the oneness of all that is. When we can begin to be in that witness self, realizing that this experience in this lifetime is our journey of growth and evolution. We are spiritual beings having an embodied experience. Then we can begin to have enough space from the wounds and the trauma to begin to face it and to begin to hold sacred space for the healing journey. Then as we move around the medicine wheel, we come to the next direction, which is the theme that we talk about relationship. We're traumatized almost always in relationships. We need to heal in right relationship with those who can hold space for us to feel heard and seen and held. If you've experienced a trauma, but you have a chance to express it, to feel heard and understood and supported, it doesn't get encoded in you in a way that remains a lasting trauma or ongoing post-traumatic stress disorder. That happens when we're traumatized and there's no way to clear it, heal it, work it. Then it gets frozen within us. And that part that is carrying the trauma, and often they're the young parts of us that have been wounded and traumatized, they then get frozen in time. And when those memories get reactivated, it isn't as if we're seeing it as something from the past. It feels as if it's alive and real in this moment. So when we have these experiences that we weren't able to heal or get support for, we now need to bring those parts of ourselves into consciousness in order to be in a relationship where we can feel held and heard and seen. That may be a therapy relationship, that may be a friendship, a family relationship. It may be a relationship with animal guides or plant allies. A critical part of my own healing was through animal guides and plant allies. It is often through spirit guides. There are many forms of relationship, and that understanding of relationship is that remembrance that we are not alone. We are held in the love of the cosmos that manifests itself to us in so many forms in so many ways. But again, as we find that connection, that healing connection, we can then bring these buried and hidden and unresolved parts of ourselves into the light of consciousness. That's the next phase on the medicine wheel. Consciousness is about bringing those parts of ourselves back in to awareness and into that context of compassion and sacred space, safety, to feel seen and heard. And that then enables us to go to the fourth direction in the medicine wheel, the energy of healing. And there are so many paths to healing. Just as there are so many paths to spirit, we each have our unique path to healing that can incorporate so many ways of honoring what needs to heal physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, energetically. And we share a number of those in the book. But you will find your own path with that. And as we then heal, we are then able to hold all those facets of ourselves, all of those parts, all of who we are, to step into the center of the medicine wheel, which is that place of integration and wholeness, and aligning our personality self with the soul self, and that oneness with the earth and sky and spirit in all that is. The medicine wheel is such a powerful path of healing and path of meditation. And to me, our birth charts are also a medicine wheel. And as we work these facets of ourselves that are shown to us in our charts, as we work those unresolved wounds, as we accept those parts of ourselves that we tend to split off, and those aspects in our charts that are challenging or reflect the pain from the past, then we begin to reweave our awareness of the wholeness of who we are. And I truly believe that, like with the medicine wheel, then we eventually move from that understanding of all of the planets and aspects of our chart into the center of our chart, where we once again remember our soul self that moves through many incarnations, that's chosen to manifest in this personality, in this unique chart, in this incarnation. And then we can celebrate that larger understanding of who we are and why we're here, how we can heal, and then how we can move into that higher state of consciousness. Because we can only move into that fifth dimension as we integrate who we are with our soul selves in that centered, aligned, whole, and integrated way, in order to be the luminous ones, bridging the earth and sky and expanding and opening to the wisdom and love of the cosmos. So this book that we're putting out on April 29th is a soul offering from me and Kristina. It's a guidebook to support you in your own healing journey. And there are many guides, many supports out there. So ours is another gift to support that process and support us each in being empowered in our own unique healing journeys. This book launch on April 29th, if you buy a book that day from Amazon, from the website, our website, transformingtraumatofreedom.com, we are offering free access to a healing summit, healing ourselves, healing our world. Kristina and I have interviewed 16 amazing healers, artists, innovators, people from all over the world who in their own ways are in their own healing journeys and making a healing difference in the world in this time. Some of these people I have met through these YouTube videos, met through this community, and I am so grateful that we're each in our own ways holding that healing energy wherever we are on the planet. And this is giving you some experience of some of that. One of the interviews in that summit is with Melanie Reinhardt, who I respect so deeply, who's done so much profound work on Chiron and how Chiron guides us in our healing journeys. But there are many healers and innovators that will be represented in that summit. So if you get an opportunity, be a part of that process and be a part of spreading this healing energy around the globe. It is truly a process right now for us to hold that sacred space for ourselves and each other, to heal, to transform, to ascend. And I believe that as enough of us do that, it can create this morphogenic field in the collective consciousness that can support humanity collectively to heal. We're at a critical choice point on the planet, and we're seeing so much turbulence, so much reactivity, so much fear and hostility and violence, because we are in chaos as we're moving from one paradigm, one age, into new paradigms, into the age of Aquarius, but also as we're in these galactic energies that are guiding us into this evolutionary leap. It does create this disintegration of the old forms and of all the old ways of coping and feeling a sense of structure and an illusion of control. It's all crumbling, which is an opportunity for this rebirth, this transformation. But it creates a lot of fear and a lot of tumult in the collective. So the more that many of us can find that alignment and work through our own healing, then we can hold that energy of love and wisdom and emanate that out and hold sacred space for others to heal, to feel seen and heard and held, to be able to move out of their trauma into right relationship, into a clearing of the pain of the past, and an opening to come back into connection, to come back into compassion, collaboration, community, justice, being in right relationship with each other, with the earth, with all that is. So if you can participate in that book launch and healing summit on April 29th, and in whatever way you are, hold that energy of healing, of transformation in your own place, in your own way, on the globe, as we hold that sacred space together and support each other in allowing that healing energy to grow, to support us all in this time of an evolutionary leap into a higher consciousness of love and justice, of communion and union and interconnectedness with the earth, with each other, with the cosmos. Thank you, and blessed be.